We find Mary in here. So when you come from the front door, you are just in the back of the house, and you have something to bake pizza over there. And we have a small building here, which used to be a garage. And we have some plants here. We have Mary here. And this house was built in the middle of the 1980s. And it's out of concrete. It's 2 floors, but it has a basement. And the ceiling has a kind of a storage room. And this used to be the house where I grew up in. And my grandparents lived there, my parents lived there, and that's something traditional in Bulgaria. The parents used to live with their kids in the same place, and especially if it's a house. My grandfather was very proud that he built this house himself, since he's an engineer. And the house was renovated some years ago, otherwise it did look like just bricks on the outside. And yeah, we have the backyard spreading all the way from this side to the front of the house until here. And if we just continue along this small path, and to the right we have some storage and some plants. We had some corn in here which dried out, and some potatoes in there and other stuff. It's not covered since all the plastic was broken down from wind and storms and stuff like that. And normally that should be fixed, but it works right now. And we have some storage here inside. And here we have some grapes and some fig trees. And here we are at the front of the house. We have the garden full of plantation. My parents take care of that at the moment. And before, my grandparents took care of that and made jars with food for the winter, and everything that could be eaten during the summer was thanks to them. Now my parents took over the garden. And that's the dog's place. And she's happy to be outside at the moment and doing her thing. And over there we have a small house which is very old, and that's my great-grandparents' house, which was built in the beginning of the last century actually. And over there we have the outside sink and some place for just sitting in leisure. And so when we turn towards the front door, that's how it looks like. There we have a separate entrance which was towards the basement. It did lead to the basement. And here we have the window, which is of my grandpa's kitchen. And there we have the other kitchen. So we may enter inside. And we always leave the shoes outside. And so the first thing that you see here is the dog's treats and a mirror. And here to the left we have my grandparents' toilet and kitchen and the living room. So it's like this floor was for my grandparents and the upper floor was for me and my brother and my parents. We can start from the kitchen. And don't mind the mess since I have my stuff spread out here. In here we have the fireplace, which is a Soviet fireplace. It's from like the 80s, the middle of the 80s. And I personally love this. You can put this part up or down and you can just warm a soup in here or just put a bread and then it's like the best bread. And that just leads to the small balcony and the view towards the street. And we have my grandparents' sofa and this table, which I even bet that I can... No! Oh, my art has disappeared. I used to draw here with crayons and it was staying here for a long time, but now it has disappeared. This is just a lovely table in wood and it has lasted since it was put in here in the middle of the 80s. And the sofa has even some storage underneath it, like you can just lift this part or lift the other part there and you can put some things inside. And it has broken down a bit. And yeah, some chairs and a calendar, something that is completely necessary. And my grandparents' TV. My grandpa used to look at the TV and there is his books and a notebook in here, and that's just for the air conditioner. And in here we have some special set of glasses, cups, and yeah, and some other stuff which are just used on a special occasion, like those cups over there and those things for sugar. And this over here is just something that my grandma used to put cream inside. And underneath, the same situation, those things that are used for special occasions. Not the most special occasions, but yeah. And over the TV, we have some other cups and some special things like the grandchildren and some quote in there. And yeah, some other memories in here and some practical stuff in here. My grandpa used to keep some cents and some money in here, pens and whatnot. And there's his medicine in here, some sewing kit, which I was disappointed to know that was not cookies inside. All the grandmas have this. To the other side, there is some other things of my grandpa and a photo of my dad. And if we continue on, we come to the cooking area. And this is just concrete underneath and it's just covered with plastic, like some other rooms in here. That's just the fridge of my grandpa. My grandpa was taking care of that. And it used to be a lot of stickers in here, which me and my brother put on the fridge. And some other things for the kitchen and some stuff that my dad put in here. Then we have his dishes. And that's just made out of, I don't know, wood, but it's not so heavy. We have all of his dishes in here. This, which my grandma used to break some walnuts, and for garlic, just to make it in smaller pieces, which she then used for soups and other dishes. We have a toaster in there, and I don't know what's here inside. Well, some other practical kitchen stuff. I'm not going to open that right now. He had some decoration with beer cans. And in here we have some other useful things. Black pepper, salt, and some herbs and some tea. That's just some tea from the shop. And that's just some black pepper and soda, baking soda, and some other stuff in here. Red pepper probably. And yeah. And this side has the heater, which heats up the water. We have to heat up the water in here, both when we are washing something or showering. That's pretty much it for this side. And here he has his sink, and I just love this sink, and he made that's just some stone. And yeah, he put all the tiles and all of that, which I believe is just concrete, but those little, are they shelves? Whatever, they are just wooden and keep the other utensils and kitchen stuff. And here underneath, there used to be some sunflower oil here and some vinegar, and there's some other things here inside. And then we go to the stove, which is a Soviet stove. It's even called mechta, which is a Bulgarian word for a dream. And this stove is still working, and it's older than me. Here on top, he was using just this part, which is normally connected to the gas. And you can find a lot of houses have gas that they use for cooking. And he used to hang some towels behind the door. And this part here is the small terrace. There is some other things. There is small grill, barbecue or whatever. And my grandma used to prepare some bread with cheese in here or some sausage. And yeah, there is some things in here which I will not go through. Some plastic bags. And this is pretty nice because it's made of straw, and at the same time it's very effective, more effective than most of the other things that you can use for cleaning. And this part is just made out of metal. That's the view from here. And then we can continue with the next room. And then here was his toilet, my grandparents' toilet. Which is nothing special. And the system of closing the door here is with this little thing which you just place like that. And in here we have an entrance to the basement. And if you remember, we had another entrance, which is this one. And basically we come down to the basement, but before that we have a small bedroom here, which was my grandparents' bedroom. And there's my grandpa's stuff still in here, being untouched. I just cleaned out some clothes and then I did arrange some of those things inside. And if we continue on and come down here, we are basically in the basement. And we have another sink here with a heater and some random stuff and a gas lamp, or an oil lamp actually, and another fridge. And then we have two rooms in here, and both of them, well, mostly this one is used for storage, and my parents are just storing a lot of food in here and a lot of jars that they make themselves, like cucumbers and ketchup and lutenica, which is a Bulgarian thing made of tomatoes and peppers, and some fruit and some jam. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there. And here used to be a lot of bottles for wine and rakia, which is the Bulgarian alcohol drink. And some random other stuff in here. And this room, my grandma also used to do some things in here. There's a stove in here, and this was the best chair ever. Now it's a bit broken, but you can see it's just metal and wood on top. And some of my grandpa's stuff in here, and another icon on the wall beside the mirror, and a bunch of stuff in here. And we have another wardrobe in there and some books on top, which I should go through at some point. And here you just have a view to the backyard. And so now we are out of the basement and we have the living room in here, and there used to be just glass here and you could see everything inside. And that's basically how it looks like. Don't mind that I have spread myself in here. We have a hanger in here, and this just keeps all the bed sheets and stuff like that, as well as up there. And there is always a big backup of bed sheets and blankets. And here we have like the best part of this room, which is the bookshelf. And there's even books up here which are just stored in there because there's no place for them. And of course all the best set of glasses and things for alcohol, and yeah, which are used for a special occasion like a wedding, which is like once in a life or maybe twice, but no one ever touches the best glasses that we have home. And some other beautiful things in here. some sewing set. Some more glasses. And cups for special occasions. And some more special occasion stuff. And some more books. And we have my grandpa here, and this embroidery, as well as those ones over there, was my grandma that created them. And we have a view today. Terrace. And if we move on upstairs, this used to be my room before. Now it's also a kind of a storage room, and that's just the fireplace, which is the same one like downstairs. And this heater, it has been used since I was born, and it still functions. And my dad just trains in here. And I believe this mirror, together with this part, is from my great-grandma's house. And there's a bunch of stuff in here. This is just a sofa, which is used as a bed. I used to sleep here. And in here I have a bunch of stuff and books. And this just leads to another balcony. And a giant wardrobe, which was from my grandma. And that was their bedroom before, then it became my bedroom since me and my brother wanted to have separate rooms. But yeah, there's my clothes in here and sailing stuff and my parents' stuff in here. And this is just for plants. And if we move on here, this is the same type of the terrace that is downstairs in my grandpa's kitchen. And that's the second floor. And we have the the bathroom in here. And another heater for when we shower. And some other stuff in here. And we have the kitchen. This is just a new fireplace, but we had the same one, like the one in my room and in my grandpa's kitchen. There's even one part of it there. And my parents just use this kitchen. And pretty much everything here has stayed the same way. And another icon on the wall and a calendar. And that's just the cooking area. And all of that is just filled with stuff like sugar, herbs, and oats, and glasses and cups. And towels. And random kitchen stuff. And of course, some memories from countries that you have visited or that your friends have visited. And that's where all the chocolate is kept and all the alcohol. We have another terrace here, which is for the veggies from the backyard. And over there we have my parents' bedroom, and there is another small terrace here which leads to this side, the back of the building, and faces the street. And then we have some random stuff here, and that all used to be my brother's bedroom, and there is his shelves and his wardrobe, as well as his small terrace. And this for me was the best place in the entire house. The roof is just over this terrace, and it's always nice and cozy when it's raining, and it's just a chilling place. And then the last floor, it's just the ceiling. And at the moment it's just a storage place for a lot of things that have stayed here for 20 years or so. My parents have done some work in here, and you can basically go to the top and go out from this small window, and then you are just in the roof of the house. And my grandpa has some stuff in here as well. He used to repair some stuff in here as well. There is the radio of my parents. And you can also go out here. And that was also another place I spent a lot of time, because it's just cozy and it's under the roof. And that's also a place where my grandpa stores his chilies and some walnuts and some other nuts as well. That was the end of this house tour. This house is kind of the typical houses that you can find from the post-Soviet time. This was the place that I grew up in, which is something that I'm so grateful for. I can still recall my mom whistling from the balcony, calling my name to me to come home, while I was playing with the other kids in the center of the village. Sometimes my grandma would come with a piece of bread with margarine and lutenica on top, which is a Bulgarian spread made of peppers and tomatoes. And at the same time, I could experience both the city life and a village life, surrounded by my parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, cousins, and even second and third generation cousins, cats, dogs, chicken, pigs, trees, and the sea, which was not that far away. We still tried to follow the traditions, and on every occasion we gathered my whole family and relatives and celebrated together. As a middle-class family, we had financial struggles. We have had our own challenges, but I have never felt a lack of something. Most of the things in the house is what my grandparents left behind. I still feel all the warmth when I'm here. And I'm always gently reminded it's not about the stuff. It's not about the personal tastes, the style of life, the beliefs, the accomplishments, or even the struggles. It's not about living in a perfect way, but in a real way. And that we, as humans, existed before the making of our CV and will continue existing after it. And there's just so much that is not important. And even as a family, as a group of people, we have different tastes, different styles, different beliefs, different views on life and understandings. And yeah, we are just different people, but we somehow find a way to see beyond that, spending a lot of energy on unnecessary things as if we are trying to compensate for something in our lives. And instead, we are always complete.